G'day guys, welcome back to the show. Today we're going to go back into our little goblin guys that we started last week, and we're going to refine the line work and take it to a bit of a nicer finish before we go into colour. So I'll see you in Photoshop and we'll get started. Welcome back. We're here with part 2, and today we're going to be tightening up these line drawings. This is a bit of a tedious process, I think, because a lot of the fun tends to sort of go after you've got the original concept. Because as the artist, I think you can kind of see where the image is going already, and it's tempting to want to just skip this and jump straight into the color process. But don't do that. I have done that myself many times, and I have regretted it every single time. This is a tedious process for a reason. There's so much stuff you need to do here. You need to solve all of the problems. What we did before was indicate the forms. Now we have to actually figure them out and figure out how the cloth is folding. We have to figure out, which muscle is, activated, which isn't. We need to figure out where the planes are changing. We need to understand what we've drawn and kind of finalize the design. It's really easy when you're doing that initial sketching phase to just throw a bunch of squiggles down around the belt. And we're like, that's stuff on the belt, he's a little goblin guy, he's gonna have skulls and some sort of snake skin or something like that holding his pants up. But you're gonna have to get in there and detail that up at some point, and at this stage it's still relatively easy to do that. It's time consuming, it's difficult, but if you do skip this process and you jump straight into the coloring phase, you are going to regret it. So do not do that. And this is as much myself telling you to do it as it's me telling myself to do it. So I say that I don't consider myself an authority on this stuff, but this is definitely good advice. Just with everything, I think, to do with art. The amount of work that you put in at the beginning to try and solve as many problems as you can before you get started with walking down that road, the better. For every 10 minutes spent here, you will save an hour trying to render something. And I'm looking at this video and I'm already seeing some things that I kind of stuffed up. Like this hand that I'm drawing right now, that's not how a hand works. I'm going to have to go fix that. And I'm going to do it before I start coloring. I'm going to do it before I move on to the next step. Because if I was to just sort of leave it for now, and then the drawing started to look really good later on down the track, and I wanted it to be final, that hand is still going to be busted, and I am going to want to fix it. But once you have a big complicated layer structure, that can be really difficult. So when you're dealing with 3 different lights hitting the hand, it can be difficult. At this stage in the drawing, you can just erase it and just sketch it in again, and I've got to do that. As soon as I'm done with this video, I've got to do that. Anyway. Basically what I'm trying to say is there's no shortcuts for this stuff, right? It's a craft. You have to invest the time if you want to do it properly. And there's a lot of voices out there on the internet, I think, especially on YouTube, these art channels and things like that are sort of more clickbaity, and they've got sensational names like 10 art hacks that are going to make you a better artist in 10 days, how to draw clouds, these really basic kind of videos that just try and make it look like a simple magic trick. Fact is, they're just full of crap. The only way to get better at this stuff is to be very critical of your work, always ask new questions, and work really hard. Don't get stuck doing the same thing all the time. Never be satisfied with where your work's at. That's it. Always be striving for something better. And always just keep going. The only reason that people don't achieve whatever their goals are with art is because they quit, because they go and play video games, because, they They're like, I'm just going to sit on Facebook instead of draw, you know? Yeah, it's a matter of procrastination and priorities, right? Everyone's going to procrastinate a little bit. And that's fine, right? We have to accept that there's going to be a little bit of resistance to anything, because every journey into something that is tremendously difficult is going to have hardship, right? And a lot of people are going to quit because it is hard, right? They're just like, it's easier to just go and do something else, right? It's more fun in my spare time to just go and play Diablo or something like that, where you just click and money comes out of goblins, you know? That's all very basically rewarding, but it you know, you're going to look back on it and say, oh, I'm so glad that I got 10 million gold in Diablo. No. But if you look back and say, wow, I really improved myself in my craft, it's just so much more meaningful, right? Anyway, I'm getting on a bit of a rant here, but I think it's important. Mainly because there's not much to talk about in this video, the process. The process is get in there and solve all the problems. Use your understanding. And I guess the more important underlying subject is know what you're doing, right? Know the anatomy, know perspective, know these things, practice them. I didn't just start drawing these things right away. They didn't look like this. They started out really bad, and I didn't give up. I just kept doing bad work and became a friend of failure. Right? Failure is my best friend in art. It tells me when I'm doing something wrong. And you can hide away from the truth that your work sucks. Or you can say, thank you, work, for telling me what I need to improve on. You know, you're a guiding light. You're the only indicator I have of the quality of this work and the direction I need to go, right? So you see a bad hand? Go and draw 50 hands. Draw 100 hands. It's the only way to do it. I've got sketchbooks where I've just drawn all the bones out, named them, drawn all the muscles in, named them, drawn them from memory, checked it again against reference, drew them again, tried drawing it from the opposite direction, tried naming it again, checked it. You know, it's this constant learning cycle. Just study it like you're going to become a surgeon, right? Imagine that the consequences are very high. This is how I do it myself if I'm trying to learn some anatomy. And I'm still not there yet because there's a lot to cover. And I do have work to do and stuff. So, but when I was really trying to learn like where certain muscles are in a certain muscle group for a drawing, and I had the time to devote to, you know, doing a deep dive, I'd bring up anatomy books and things, and I would look at it and I'd say, I need to know exactly where this muscle inserts and what it does and what bone it's attached to. I need to know what it's called, as if I was going to be performing surgery on someone's shoulder, for example. Try and know. Put the responsibility on yourself. Treat it like a real job. Treat it like studying to be a doctor. Give it the respect it deserves. There are no hacks. You don't go on YouTube and see 10 doctor hacks to do surgery better tomorrow, you know, because that's freaking ridiculous. And art is just as hard, right? You need to know a bunch of things. You know, it's not as high pressure, but the ceiling is very high. So if you want to reach your potential and get as close to that ceiling as possible, there's one way. And it's the same way that you study anything else. You throw yourself completely into it. And that's it. Talking about this is making me feel a little lazy. I haven't done a deep dive on anatomy for like a month or something like that. I'm starting to forget things because it's a continuing process. You forget things and you have to go back and redraw it and retest yourself. It's like anything. If you don't exercise it, it goes away. And if you're doing work for clients or you're doing these designs that tend to be from a certain angle and you draw things from the same direction a lot, and you can kind of fall into the rut of drawing hands and feet and stuff like that in the same way. I mean, look at those two characters that I've finished so far. The feet are in a very particular position, right? And you have to try and break yourself out of these things sometimes. Draw things from underneath, above, really try and challenge yourself. Otherwise, you'll get into the habit of drawing things as if they're kind of like little icons of like, this is how I draw a foot. This is how I draw a hand that's a fist, the art hack method, how to draw a fist, how to draw a hand, and have these silly methods that allow you to just draw something from a direction, like the idea of an eye being this little water drop kind of shaped thing with a pupil in it. It's actually a sphere inside a socket with little bits of skin over the top, and you can draw it from any direction if you think about it in that way. Same thing can be said for every part of the body, but you have to keep working that muscle. You have to, once you start adding in the layers of detail, you start adding in the knuckles and the tendons and things like that, you can't stop. You have to add them in every time and try and draw them from all different directions as part of your workflow. Otherwise, you start to forget they're there. The difficulty just gets higher. So you just keep working harder and harder. It's never going to get easier. You're always going to be stressed and get it wrong. You're always going to draw a crap hand every now and then. And it's fine, as long as you pick it up. And as long as you don't move forward until you've fixed it. Wow, we've come full circle after all of that. Sorry to rant, guys. I hope it was a little bit inspirational, I didn't... Yeah. Ah, God. It's like myself yelling at my younger self. Do the goddamn work! I could have saved myself so many headaches. I wouldn't have listened to myself, though. I would have been sure that I knew what I was doing. All right. We're actually getting to the end of this video. I've talked very little about what's going on the screen. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching the process and listening to me rant and rave. I think it's a really important point, though. You got to know what you're in for with this stuff, and you've got to love it. Because if you get sold on some false idea of it being easy, or there being like quick ways to the top, you're going to be disappointed down the track, and you'll probably just quit. But if you know that it's gonna be hard, and you prepare yourself, and you understand that there's no shortcuts, and you still want to keep going, then this might be for you. You might be crazy enough to want to do this. Good on you. Yeah, I think everyone should. It's just so rewarding. Anyway, next episode we're going to be coloring these guys in. It's going to be good. There's been a lot of work going into these guys, and I don't know if I'm going to break the episode up and do each individually, or if I'll just do them all in one. I'll see how the timing's going. But yeah, they're going to come to life. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun to see the final little touches, add in the little rim highlights and things like that, and characters really pop out and come to life. If you want to see that, please come along to the next episode. It should be coming out next Monday. If it doesn't, yell at me. But I'm pretty sure it's going to come out. Because truth be told, I'm just having too much fun. And here they are, all done. Well, that's it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're enjoying the process. If you have any questions or comments or anything, don't be afraid to leave a comment down below. I will read them all and get back to you as soon as I can. And please join me next episode on Monday for the colouring process. We're going to jump in and do the first goblin. So if that interests you, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.